Welcome to the TST CAD webinar. We'll be going over the new CAD features for VISI 2017, R1, and R2. There'll also be a questions and answers at the end of the session. So we have the translators, a number of quality improvements, some new capabilities, support writing the WCS and the IGES and STEP, along with the JT Open, Import, and Export libraries, both to 8.5.0.1. And as always, when you guys do experience anything with the translators, send those into support. That's how we get files over to development, and we make the translators better. So if you want to see, even better translators in 2018, R1 and R2, sending those files in is going to be how that gets done. So let's talk about the software install. So the supported OSs are Windows 7, Windows 8, and 8.1, Windows 10, and 64-bit only systems. That's kind of been a norm for us, so that should be of no surprise to anyone. So CLS is automatically installed, as you've seen with the previous versions that have used CLS. It is very easy to install your license with CLS. You can simply take your CLSS file that is provided from our codes department, and you can double click and install that license. You actually don't have to go through the license manager. Every now and then, if there's something that is not right, you might have to open it up. But other than that, you can simply click those CLSS license files and it should install. So along with the CLS, installed is a migration tool. It can be ran at the end of the install or as an active utility afterwards. Also, what you will see in this version is going to be a launcher as well. So the migrating of VISI settings is pretty important, and typically, unless they are custom things, we do not want to just pull and drag and drop CFG files. So we always want to run this at least first. We're going to point this to the previous VISI path using these three dots, and whatever we have checked here will update once we hit update. So it updates the libraries and databases, and makes it real easy going to the next version. So let's review all things VISI in one place. And what we mean by that is the VISI launcher. So along with the 2017 R2 icon, what you'll see is a VISI launcher. This can be deleted, or you can use it. It's all up to you. What it is a launch pad that's going to house everything with VISI. Our first area is going to be a product area where we'll have your VISI program. You'll have the VISI team. For those of you who have collaboration software where you can have multiple designers working on the same file. And Vero tools for the CAM guys if they want to do any Vero tools without being inside of VISI. You also have a VISI utilities area. We have a number of different utilities to use, from the migration tool, the VISI NC editor for the CAM guys, batch converter for the CAD guys, and your license manager, and a remote support button. Please note the remote support button is not connected to TST, so do not use it at this time. So we also have a custom function area where we can drag and drop some files. If you have a starter file, or for the CAM guys, they have maybe a VISI or something drawn up, and they'll use that starter file to go from. Also for social media, we have feeds as well. Let's take a quick look at what that looks like. So on our desktop, is going to be the VISI launcher. Go ahead and launch that open. It can be full screen or partial screen. We've got your VISI where you can launch a session of VISI. We've got VISI Team. And a Vero Tools Manager. You also have a remote support button. We'll not use this yet, but we're going to tie that back to us. Right now you're going to get the UK or TeamViewer, and it's going to slow down your support. So I would not use that as of now. So we also have a license manager. If we need to, if we're doing a network license, we can go in there and select what we need. And a batch converter. Migration tool. And a VISI NC editor. So as far as that custom area, it's pretty easy to add something. It'd be as simple as dragging and dropping. And you can kind of easily organize things that we use. And even open up a file from there. So let's move on to graphic management. So now we are fully supporting 4K monitors. Before, you probably noticed, if you had a 4K monitor, some scaling resolution issues where you're scaling up those icons and they're pretty grainy. So with that, we have to revise the icons. Okay. So from 2017 R1 to R2, you're going to see some differences. The icons have been updated with better DPI for resolution management. And we have the ability to scale those within the system options, and the user interface. So in there, you can see we are able to scale the toolbars, the font scale factor, and you can see resulting on 100, 200, 300. We've got a couple different steps in between there. And then you have 400, which would be the only time I could see using that is maybe on a large screen in a conference room. So you have your toolbar icon scale factor, your font scale factor, and application scale factor. Neat little addition there. So the system DPI scale factor is going to be shown in your status. So this is the scale factor that is set by Windows that you have set inside your Windows settings. So please always remember it's going to refer to that first, and then be at 100, 125, and so on. So if you already have it at a bigger scale factor, you'll have to increase it even more. So let's take a look at that. Oops. There we go. So we've got a monitor display in 1060. Let me start this video over. So what we'll see here is just a better looking display versus the previous version. And with that are going to be those icons. So you'll see a extract from group profile under edit, move double elements. So all of these have been either updated and or added. You have under solid, draft from face, trim face to face, automatic, join, concatenate, and force tangency. Along with the modeling pattern, translation, rotate, mirror, analysis thickness, window, window view, and window view settings. So with those new icons, when you add something to your wheel, instead of seeing that default VISI logo, you'll see them added in 2017 R2. And you can, as always, you can use those tabs that you see here pictured. You can use those tabs, or you can make your own tabs, or you don't have to use tabs at all, and you can make your own icon packs as well. All that is still available in VISI. So the HUD function management has been changed up here to give us some flexibility on what we can see. So under System and then Graphic Area Icons Layout is going to be our ability to change these. So you've got some default commands, but you can add, move up, down, and remove these at your willing to be able to see it however you want to. So it is limited to the commands that are under the commands and layouts there. All those are available. So we can take it, customize it to what we need, and maybe save some toolbar space. So geometry selection. So for you CAD guys, this is going to be a little bit different way to select geometry. It's going to be a polyline selection by open profile. So basically you're kind of dragging with a brush over different things and have the ability to select based on what is touching that line. So you can set it in the mouse configuration under System, Settings, and Mouse and Keyboard. You can actually set it to your middle mouse to make it easier and quicker to get to. As you can see, drawing that line selects those faces and or solids. So a big one for you guys, pretty important here, is going to be your standard warning messages. So when you do a file new, file open, or file exit, right now we're used to seeing this delete all database, where now instead of delete all database, it's going to show warning. Do you want to save these changes, yes or no? So it's going to be a huge thing to remember when we're starting out. It's going to be different. Of course, we're going to remember it down the line, but starting off, it's going to be something that we have to make sure we are doing the right thing. Let's take a look just at some of those changes here. So for the graphic area icons layout, we can get to it through that 3 bars, or we can get to it through an icon. In the standard system, we have a HUD layout icon. You can see you have the top, side, and they all reference what's up there now. But we can move up, down, reorder, and remove and add. You can add some basic views, select where you want it to go, and you'll have the ability to add or remove. So this was a request by a number of users, and we saw that as an enhancement. it got put in as an enhancement and was put into the product. That we can remove as well. Pretty straightforward. On your right's your display, on your left's your options, and in the middle are all the ways that we can change it up. You can also take off the horizontal or vertical. You can also take them out and have none. What you'll be left with is the 3-bar or 3-bar little setup in the corner. That's the only thing that will remain. So in here, using some of the different options here for visibility. And using that brush selection. So we're going to take out some things using that brush selection. It's just a different way instead of windowing in that you can use on the fly. So on here, normally where I might window in, you can just kind of draw over, drag over, and select those surfaces. Especially on a curve like that, that straight box doesn't work quite as well. So that brush selection, that'll work for you in that instance. So let's take a look at a few other things. The change attributes can manage Assembly Manager properties within the interface. The Assembly Manager interface must be updated before the Properties tab will be available within the Change Attributes interface. Graphics, the system's ability to retain shaded graphic mode on system opening is there. We also, and it's kind of a review for some of you guys because it's been there, is the new function of fast zoom. If you press and hold the space bars, you will zoom in on the current cursor position, and releasing the space bar zooms back out. Pressing the Alt key during the fast zoom retains it so that you zoomed in, hit Alt, and it'll stay there. Subtraction, we'll see the added option for both sides in the Side to Keep section, allowing us to have two different results at the same time. Also, as more of a little bit of a review, is going to be that Extrude Elements text. To add the functionality, we added the functionality to Extrude Elements with the new option of Extrude as Text. Extrudes the inner and outer profile simultaneously. For the 8s, the A's, the 9s, the 0s, that kind of thing. Query, the reintroduction of the query commands. These can also be added to any wheel or toolbar as well. Have our newer version and your original point-to-point. With the switch 2 inches, switch to millimeters, draw segment, and draw points. Also, those variables are there as well. So there's no need to add these into any menu item. They will be available. Assembly Manager, some changes to the auto ballooning. The ability to create auto ballooning on 4 sides of a view. Balloons are automatically positioned according to the shortest distance from the ballooned element. So you also have some new options for this because this was added. in the parts list table settings, you'll have avoid duplicate balloons and avoid overlapping balloons. Pretty necessary with this enhancement to have those options. Also, a view reference text. So when you're doing your little view here, you can have your scale info added to any of those plot views, and also global plotting info as well. Let's take a look at some of the outbreak views. The outbreak depth calculation engine has improved. A view depth acquired from any forward direction. Selection point on reference view automatically measures the outbreak view depth. Active dimensioning on outbreak view as well. As you can see from this outbreak view, they've drawn with a little bit of a polygon here to help show some of those water lines. So you also have the added ability to edit outbreak depth. View properties of the outbreak view is where that will be shown there. And you have a picking point option as well in there. So you've added the measurement icon that activates measurement menu for adjustment. So the shaded view creation in multi-views. The ability to define the page size and paper layout. Landscape, portrait, and multiple view creation can be also set as automatic. Configuration, annotation, distance on auto views. So also under plot view, we can do the save data command is now available. We also have the management of mirror text in plot view as well. And you also have the management of mirror text command in the text window there as mirrored or not. So dialog box, alignment view, and selection. They'll be in the corresponding tabs under view properties and then section properties. Also, for those of you doing some point cloud stuff, there's going to be some enhancements for that as well. So the point representation has an adjustment. In system settings and graphics, we can have a point representation of a cross or dot. It can really affect how these files operate and how clean and smooth they are on pan, rotate, and zoom based on whether we have them crosses or dots. So this is default cross setting, and when we have them on dots, it'll be much better for our graphics. Be faster, ability to manipulate, rotate, pan, and zoom. If you've ever had one of these files open, it can bog the rotate, pan, and zoom down. With this ability, it makes it much smoother. Also, what we'll see are some reverse engineering added into the product. Is going to start here. It's kind of phase 1 of development. It is available as a preview option, which means you'll have to have a preview license for CLS. You can get a preview license through support. We'll have you sign a form and have it approved for the preview option. And we would likely want some feedback on that to know how it worked for you and what you kind of saw in the reverse engineering preview option. So reverse engineering would be under File, and it'll appear there as File Reverse Engineering. It has the ability to import point cloud data and use some settings to help automatically convert it to a mesh. External or internal points can be worked on, and they have also some filtering capabilities to help affect some of those results, start smoothing some of those edges over. Really help you get a mesh out of it. Once you get a mesh, we can put some section lines and start creating some surface out of it. With some of those mesh smoothing options, we can smooth that all beforehand. Make it much easier in the end if those are smooth. Let's take a look at some of the reverse engineering features. Open up a file here. We can import. You can see, along some of those edges, those point clouds are pretty rough there. They're starting to give us a mesh that's going to need quite a bit of help in the end, either on the mesh side, or if you had a surface out of it, you'd have to go in there and start breaking those surfaces and redefining that. So we've got some automatic layer controls associated with that. Whereas you can see here, now you have the point cloud, mesh data, all automatically organized for us. Let's go back into reverse engineering. And since we have the points already there, we can do a points by pick. You can adjust the color of that mesh, what layer it goes on, and we'll start actually affecting this now. The other one will probably kind of be like our original. This one will affect some of the settings. The intensity under the options. We can set some average distances. Some maximum triangle size. And for those holes, we can actually affect those as well. So we can refine those edges as well, or free borders. And we can further refine them. Those mesh options will help smooth out some of those areas that we see. We can set a deviation setting. Also, you see their maximum number of triangles, minimum triangle size, outer point distance. Then we have the smoothing options there with a maximum deviation value. Now if we open up the layers, we can see the original there, and then the one with those options turned on. Let's take a look at another file here. So you see how choppy it is, moving around, trying to pan. There's a ton of points in there. You can see on the number of points that were just over 1 million points there. Right now, those are as crosses. So in our settings, would also be in system settings and graphics, we can change to a dot representation, and we can redo that reverse engineering. First file, And you can see how much smoother it is to rotate, pan, and zoom. The same million number of points, or excess of million. So now we can extract some of the contours here. We can put a bounding box on it as well. Under here, we'll do a sectional elements in the X direction. Turn on some options, number of cuts and a distance. You can create profiles out of them. And now we have a grid in two directions. We can turn off our mesh, and we have now something that we can start generating some surface with. So, converting some of these first. We can also dissolve some aggregates here. Only the ones we want, using those filter options. So those are all dissolved, those look good. Now, do some reprocessing on those curves. I'm going to remove all corners and remove concatenation points. Now we can split the element there by that point, making sure we actually grab the correct points. As you can see, zooming in when we need to grab that specific point. Now, once we've done that, with our auto constrain, we can start building the surface. So that reverse engineering is kind of a stepping stone for us to get to this point. And when we're done, we've got a whole surface. From mesh to surface, using that reverse engineering. You can also use a drape surface and get one much faster. Obviously, results are going to be affected. Create a trim surface, use that outer boundary. And we'll see the difference here. Turn on that other mesh. And turn on our surface. going here, and you can actually build a thickened surface off that. And with the holes added in there, we're starting to look pretty good with this thing. It's just some of the extra capabilities that reverse engineering is going to start bringing us here. So let's take a look at 2017 R1 and R2 for flow. So some of the changes for the flow are going to be with the file management. The calculation result is stored in a subfolder now. Flow light, full flow modules, and cooling validation modules will see this. Holding phase and warpage. For the filling and holding algorithms, have seen the enhancement with obviously an aim to increase the accuracy of these calculations. So helps improve results with glass reinforced material grades. So 2017 R1, you can see we've got all the files for the flow calculation and everything all in the open. And in 2017 R2, it'll be in the work file. Under flow projects component, and all of our relevant files in there. Much cleaner. So a new cooling validation is included in the mold design module. Be under the drop down. It's a step-by-step procedure that drives the user through the creation of some thermal analysis of the mold conditioning system. So some of the cooling circuit extraction from the mold cooling interface and mold data all in there. With your cooling time, mold open time, your cycle time. Automatic and manual report generation is available, and a calculation will be filed in a subfolder status, as you saw before. Also here is going to be the advanced mold tool. R2 is going to see the introduction of phase 1 of this new mold tool module. It's based on a consolidated assembly manager technology, assembly NG, which is the underlying engine for it. The new mold tool benefit from the experience and stability achieved on this engine in the recent years. So it'll be a new function for the mold tool. It'll be under mold, advanced mold tool. Currently it is in the preview status. So both the reverse engineering and this are in the preview status. So you'll have to have a CLS license with the preview option turned on, and you can sign up to be approved for one, and then we would send you one over support. So you can email in to support and ask for the form, and we'll get it to you. So it's built on the assembly NG technology. Same tech used by different applications. You've got a supplier and a custom layout choice. So multiple template choices, and then you can simply start with that template, and you can still change from there. If you're doing something that's not in your realm, perfectly, you can still certainly start with this and avoid some of the steps. And you can also create those custom templates. If you have a specific thickness of plate or whatnot, that you're going to use, you can have a couple different templates for those plates based on things you do. Therefore, if you do something over that's very similar, or even remotely similar, you can at least have a good starting point. So plate selection from a view, modification after the selection is available, and the correct attribute assignment after the selection's been made. So based on this choice, we can use different templates and select the relevant plates and loading them by supplier, or defining the mold plates as a custom plate. So the supplier templates allow plates with holes already defined, editable widths where defined in the database. We'll be able to add those. Also, tool creation on a different work plane as well. So greater editing and flexibility of standard elements is the new ability through here. So let's take a look at that advanced mold tool. So you can add those custom plates there, or you can use a supplier plate. Here we'll go through and add some. You can see we have the tool parameters there, and we can come in here and start adjusting some of those sizes. Length and width can be adjusted. You can also have your standard element can be added to the bolster set. We'll have to pick from the generic templates there. You have an X offset, Y offset. You can start editing these as you go, and you can see them move. Same thing with pillars. So adding the supplier plates with predefined holes allows you to just have that little bit more quick setup using those supplier templates. This is going to really speed up, if you're not using this, a lot of the things you can do. And even if your tooling's not, you're not using the suppliers, you can still use those as kind of a starting point, and then create your own custom database from that, and start moving things around and have a little bit of a template to what you do, even if a lot of your stuff is custom or kind of different for every job. The more we can put into a template, simply the faster we're going to be. Whether it's machining or design, anything we can get a little bit of an automation out of. Is going to help out a lot. So let's add some supplier bolster sets. And in the parameters, we can adjust our codes. And grab the layout from our standard elements. and it will update. Same thing with the riser. So also, last but not least, will be that tool creation on a different origin. So we'll show you that. Grab a layout. Create a second work plane there. And apply this guy based off midpoint there onto there. Just giving us greater flexibility in setting this up. So let's move on to the strip study. For the progress side of everything. So we'll have some added values available in the strip stress data. Bend stress, flange will all be available to us. The stress data is updated for every individual strip at each step there. So ability to adjust all stress data with user-defined values. Also, user-defined stress data can be output to the reports. Value reset button to re-establish the calculated stress data is available. So new option here is going to be draw step stress. It's going to display the calculated stress data annotation for each strip or step of the strip. It's going to make the data visible in the graphic area for printing and graphical outputs. Also, the Insert Manager is going to enhance the user interface, profile editing interface. Also, insert description material, treatment data during the insert creation. Also, a dynamic on-screen value adjustment for those. Be a little easier with the drag and drop arrows as we're used to at VISI. So nesting some parts on a sheet, a new option to set maximum quantity value for each part. Fix the number of parts nested on the sheet, and you can see now it's laid out in the most efficient manner. So a wire point by plates and punches in the progress. Wire points for punches will be a new function. Has the ability to add a second thread point on a single wire profile. So you'll have those 2 points available. You can independently manage multiple wire attributes on a single profile. And bam, now you can output those wire points. Wire points in plot view, be able to define the wire points automatically, adding them into the plot view created using the pick view creation method. Also for you progress guys are going to be the spring back command. It is spring back prediction will be officially released. Some of you I know have tested it. For the multiple mesh models will be created with the mesh settings defined. Part mesh, your blanked, and your spring back. Also automatic layer control to help organize where these are. The VISI blank spring back can be utilized by spring back finite analysis tool to calculate the compensated surface data for this. So with some of those, you can see different results with that safety zone information. So new visualization mode for those, for VISI blank, blank unfolding, flange unfolding, and display results. You'll get a graph with different meanings for the different colors. Strong wrinkle tendency, low strain, safe marginal, and then a fail, where the limit curve is going to likely be splitting or localized thinning. Let's take a look quickly at some of those. For the VISI blank, grab our surface. We'll have it blanked out flat. We also have the spring back tool to help create that additional mesh. And you have your different color designations there. So we'll do that spring back here and begin the calculation. And now we have everything organized on our different layers here. We can turn on layers we want. And only see what we want to see. We can use that finite analysis tool here. We'll pick it from the mesh, not from file. And you can see the difference here. We want to make sure we pick our green mesh here, and we can preview. You can create a new result layer, make that our active layer, and use that finite analysis tool now. And now we can see the difference there. To make it easier to see, change the color on that guy. Also with that, we can run the VISI blank on this file and look at some of those results. We'll blank it out. Similar with this part, but what we'll take a look at this time use our blank and then look at that colored shading, and we can look at that wrinkle tendency. Turn off that safety zone, and we can even do it on a single edge there. Define some characteristics. You can do a whole part. Look at that safety zone. Or we can just do that one flange by edges there. And look at that safety zone. help you with your step-by-step look at the part as well.